school. Now that is just a snippet of what took place this past Friday in Mount Pearl. Here Now's Terry Roberts is on this story today. So Terry, what have you learned?
Yeah, well, Carolyn, instead of going home on Friday, a very large group of students went to a wooded area of Southlands, a secluded soccer pitch, where this happened. So what you saw there, lots of slapping, kicking, hair pulling, and all kinds of pushing and shoving. But what you don't see, no boys involved in the actual melee. But they are on the sidelines using their cameras to film it all, and also what appears to me to be masterminding the whole thing, egging on all the girls, and actually at one point referring to girls being on teams. So, but what you don't see here, you don't see any closed fist punches, no visible injuries, no crying. Some guys step in at one point to stop a girl from hauling on the hair of another. So not your typical bare-knuckled barroom brawl that you might anticipate.
Okay. So Terry, what are the authorities saying about all this?
Yeah, well, both the school district and the RNC say they're taking this very seriously. I couldn't get anyone to go on camera today, but I did receive this statement from the Newfoundland Labrador English School District. School discipline has occurred as a result of the incident, along with educational and guidance supports being provided to the students involved. The Newfoundland and Labrador English School District expects students to treat each other with respect and does not tolerate violent behavior. The district has also provided education to students about non-violent behavior and the appropriate use of technology in accordance with the Safe and Caring Schools policy of the district. The RNC is telling me today that they're also investigating this matter.
So Terry, you went out to the Mount Pearl school today. Did you get a sense of what the mood is like there?
Yeah, I spoke to a number of students, Carolyn, and it's clear this is the talk of the school. Now, we also here at the CBC received a number of phone calls today from angry parents, but we were very careful about blurring the images of the girls involved in this, but felt the public needed to see what went on here. And no one seems to know really what started this. And one student told me a number of suspensions have been handed out. Another student told me she thought all those involved were friends. Now all this, of course, is occurring at a very difficult stage in these young lives. You know, no longer children, not quite adults. And these are often the stage in life when people make some pretty regrettable mistakes. And of course, in this age of cell phones and social media, those mistakes are often broadcast far and wide. Carolyn?
Thank you very much, Terry. That's Terry Roberts reporting live from the newsroom.
Thanks very much, Carolyn. Here's what else is making news tonight. It's municipal election day, but ballot snafus continue in St. John's. Taking off the uniform, 2 officers share their PTSD stories.
Why does this keep happening? What's it going to take for something to change?
He can beat cancer at 3 years old. I'll tell you what, how strong he is.
A former Wish Foundation child pushes his family to pay it forward.
When RCMP Corporal Trevor O'Keefe took his own life earlier this month, his death hit 2 people particularly hard. Dave O'Day and Kelsey Aboud didn't know O'Keefe very well, but they are all too familiar with the struggle he had with post-traumatic stress disorder. Here Now's Ariana Kelland sat down with both of them to hear their stories. So Ariana, why are they speaking out now?
Well, both O'Day and Aboud had very high-stress jobs. O'Day retired from corrections with a disability this year, and Aboud is on long-term disability with the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary. Now, both have PTSD, and they question if enough is being done for people like them so that a PTSD diagnosis doesn't necessarily end someone's career.
There was a bit of an evolution for me. In 2008, I had a bout of depression for about 14 months. But the ultimate break was around 2011. It was random. I was at home, brushing my teeth at around 7:30 in the evening, getting ready to go out, and I just shattered into tears. And for no apparent or obvious reason to me, but I just fell apart.
I started noticing a difference in myself around 2008 as well. I had suffered from a bout of depression as well. Had gone to my doctor and psychiatrist at the time. Never really portrayed it to being a work-related issue, just thought I was feeling a bit off. Coming into the job, I was 19 years old. Being a young female, I definitely felt that I had to put that wall up even higher. You're always told to be 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and not to let things bother you. To ask for help is a big thing, and no one wants to step out and ask for help and be vulnerable. I just kind of stuffed it all in, and then eventually just exploded for me in 2015.
And what do you mean by exploded? What happened in 2015 that?
Just little calls, things that shouldn't typically would bother me, started to bother me. I started taking things home. I was drinking a lot. I was isolating myself from my loved ones, from my friends. I wasn't participating in things that I normally would.
Once I notified the employer, things changed, and as it spread through the workplace, through the grapevine or whatever the case may be, everyone talks. I felt I had a reputation for being the crazy guy, the unstable guy. That stigma comes with it, and I felt the department didn't want you then. It goes beyond the actual incident, the 2 minutes or whatever it is that an incident occurs in. The intensity of going to work every day, having your meeting in the morning and told that, you know, some days there was intel that there may be a hostage taking. I've been on units where inmates threatened to take a hostage or let you know that they could. I've had inmates mention my child, where I live, and I'm coming when I get out, and I'm going to kill you and your family. And I've spent weeks on my couch all night long, basically watching TV and watching out the window. And that leaves you at home in a state of mind where you're prepared to defend yourself, your family, and kill someone if they come to kill you.
Working on street patrol, I was first responder to many fatalities, a lot of death, a lot of child abuse, sexual assaults, which were very traumatic. Even if you're not the first responders to certain calls, you can be vicariously traumatized by hearing about them. And I worked in what we had an investigative interviewing unit, and so I was always interviewing people that were suffering from traumatic incidences. The CBS shooting being one of them, the double homicide. All of that stuff builds up, and your resilience just gets lower and lower, and it just builds and builds and builds over time, and until you finally crash. I didn't know how my bills were going to get paid. I didn't know I had to sell my house. I didn't know. I ran out of all my sick leave at work. I ran out of my annual leave at work. And here I was, not well enough to go to work, but I didn't have any option. So I did actually work for a period of time when, even though I didn't feel well enough to be there. I think what's lacking is like peer support groups, and I think what's lacking is like mandatory debriefings.
It's just a shame that these employment opportunities and careers destroy people, and the support is not there. You know, now I don't know how an agency could actually step up and support fully without the cooperation of other agencies. There has to be a meeting of the minds, so to speak. Like, the insurer has to be on par with the AP. Everyone's got to work together to make this work.
I've been in some very dark places myself, and I, like Dave said, I was angry. I was, you know, why does this keep happening? What's it going to take for something to change?
Well, Ariana, it really sounds like they've both been through so much. Is enough being done to help people like Dave O'Day and Kelsey Aboud?
Well, I did speak with Inspector Sean O'Reilly with the RNC, and he deals with their EAP program. He says that the RNC does offer debriefings after serious incidents, not all of them mandatory, depending on the severity of the incidents that these officers are witnessing. Here's what else he had to say.
So I've been a police officer for 31 years. In that 31 years, I've seen a drastic shift. Now people are more open. So what we know is that stigma is a barrier to seeking help. And if we reduce stigma, we'll know people will get help. Our programming, such as the Road to Mental Readiness, is a program of the Mental Health Commission of Canada we adopted 2 years ago. That program is all about resiliency and reducing stigma. And now we have employees now talking openly about effects of mental health, and some even now become peer supports, and we'll do talks to other groups even outside the organization on their PTSD or their operational stress injury, whatever they've been dealing with.
Now, I did reach out to the Department of Justice for comment on this story, and so far I haven't heard back, but the department has said in the past that it does have mental health training at HMP and that guards do have access to EAP, that's employee assistance. Carolyn?
Thank you very much, Ariana. That's Here and Now's Ariana Kelland reporting tonight. And also on tonight's show, Debbie speaks with a psychologist who counsels first responders with PTSD. Kurt Hillier will talk about the stigma that still exists and the telltale signs that you and a loved one should look for.
And as Carolyn says, thanks very much. That's all ahead. But right now, we're going to turn our attention to the weather. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, I'm Debbie. And it's voting day, of course. And if you haven't voted yet, still time before the polls close at 8 p.m. here in St. John's. And have a look at temperatures. Boy, it's a little bit different depending on where you are. 17 right now in St. John's. 10 in Bonavista, 7 in Gander, but the cold front has just started to push through St. John's. The wind is now northwesterly, and so we will see that temperature drop off in a hurry over the next hour as that colder air floods in from the north. So yeah, definitely prepare for some breezy northwesterly winds out there. Lots of cloud cover and a couple of showers kicking around here across the northern Avalon and along that northeast coast. So be prepared for that, but far from a washout. Now, as we take a look quickly at your overnight future tracker, you can see where we have those showers sailing off to the south. Some lingering showers along the northeast coast possible through the overnight, but they're very isolated. And by tomorrow morning and school bus time, we are looking at a pretty solid start, but a cool start. We'll dip near to the freezing mark for central and western parts of the island and below freezing for parts of Labrador. We'll talk more about your Wednesday forecast in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Ryan. As Ryan pointed out, municipal elections are taking place across the province today. And in St. John's, with the departure of Dennis O'Keefe, that means residents will be picking a new mayor. But according to many residents, the election here has not gone as smoothly as hoped. Here now's Mark Quinn is live at a polling station tonight. So, Mark, what's the scene since you arrived there?
Well, I'm here at the Knights of Columbus Hall in Ward 2. The scene has been a scene of people coming and going. There's been a steady stream of voters coming and going. And we've been hearing some of the same issues we've heard over the last couple of weeks. For at least a week now, we've been hearing from voters who said they didn't get their ballots in the mail. And some of the people coming out of here again today are saying they didn't get their ballots even though they were registered and even though they got their ballots in the mail for the last election in 2013. I also heard a new one tonight. I spoke with one person who showed me a ballot for a person who they say has been dead for 15 years. And they say they live at a home where that woman used to live, and they got a ballot for her in 2013 as well. So that's been an ongoing problem for them. I did speak with the mayor about all the concerns we've been hearing about the ballots and about registration, and I asked him if he thought it merited an investigation, if this election should be investigated, and he was quite clear. He doesn't believe that these problems merit an investigation. He said it's not worth spending the time or money on investigating this. He said it does need some tweaks perhaps and can be improved, but didn't believe an investigation was necessary. Now, the other issue we heard about quite a bit was voter turnout. As of last week, we had heard that only 14% of eligible voters had actually cast their ballots. We heard yesterday that number was up to about 45%, and we've been seeing people coming and going all night here, and of course they've been bringing ballots to the box outside of City Hall. So I think people are now saying that they expect the voter turnout may actually be higher than the one last in 2013. It was around 50% in 2013. It was around 45% as of yesterday at 3. So with all the votes coming in today, people are now saying they expect it may actually be a higher turnout than it was back in 2013. So that's a bit of good news. People are actually taking part in this election. Now, continuing with our election coverage, we're going to Labrador West, where Here and Now's Jacob Barker is covering the municipal elections there. Jacob?
Well, yeah, Mark, the communities on this side of the province are at a bit of a crossroads, and that's why I'm here at the junction between Wabush and Labrador City. If you took a left today to Wabush, you would see one municipal election going on, and if you took a right to Labrador City, you'd see another municipal election going on. But the next time round, that might not be the case. That's because there's been a report that was taken on by both the towns, and it came back last week, and it recommended that these two communities amalgamate. But people at the polls today were not convinced, not everybody was convinced that that was the best idea for the area. In fact, a lot of people were mixed on the idea. I spoke with a lot of them, and here's what they had to say.
That is definitely on my mind, yes.
Okay. Why is that such an issue?
Just because the way it's been going here with the mine shutting down in Wabush and Lab City's booming type of thing, we kind of need that support, you know.
I'm a Bush baby, so I'd like to see more elections here in the future, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, really? You'd like to see it continue to be Wabush separate?
I would.
Okay. Is that reflecting in the vote that you're making today?
Perhaps.
Okay.
Perhaps.
What is the pitfall for you with amalgamation then?
Well, let's face it, the government is not doing it to make us closer friends. They're doing it to save money, and saving money usually means cutting services.
If they do amalgamation, that's it. I guess that's the best for the area, and you know, we try to work together. The more of us stand together, the better we are.
Okay.
So that reflects the direction of where I'd vote.
It do weigh my vote a bit, because I honestly don't think it's going to go through, because they're two different communities and people are not ready for amalgamation.
Could bring costs down, could be more efficient, could be cheaper for the taxpayer on both sides of the water?
It would have to be proven to see if it is cheaper or better.
A lot of it is happening on the island. It seems to work, so maybe we could give it a work here too. I don't know.
I didn't grow up here, but I do, so I don't really have, I'm not really partial to one community versus the other. I think if everybody works together, then I don't see the problem with amalgamation as long as it's the right choice for everybody.
I am for amalgamation. I think we would do well with one council. We would get more for the communities if we were to join together.
So whether or not in 2021 we see an election for Labrador West, that remains to be seen. But one thing is for certain, whoever gets elected tonight, it's going to be a big issue for them to deal with over the next 4 years. Reporting live for Here and Now in Labrador West, I'm Jacob Barker.
Well, if you find it confusing to figure out who to vote for, imagine being in Trout River on the Northern Peninsula. There are 24 people running for 7 seats, and many of the candidates have the same last name. 10 of the people running have the last name Crocker. 5 are named Brake. 3 with the last name White. 2 each with the last name Shepherd and Barnes. And rounding out the field is a Parsons and a Harris. Some RNC officers spent the afternoon handing out traffic tickets to drivers who weren't stopping for school buses. It's a particular problem on Commonwealth Avenue in Mount Pearl. The fines were increased last year, with drivers now fined at least $500 for passing a school bus. Police say drivers seem confused about the rules.
because of the fact it's a 4-lane roadway, is just that people are uneducated on what to actually do at that point. I've had vehicles go through at the speed limit. I've had vehicles slow down to a near stop. I've actually had one individual make a complete stop and then proceed past the bus with a stop sign out while children were exiting the bus. A lot of these children are very young, and it only takes a second for them to run across the road.
Speaking of the RNC, police officers have a new tool to help catch car thieves. A decoy bait car is being used in the Kenmount Terrace area of St. John's. The vehicle is rigged with surveillance equipment to alert police. It hasn't caught any thieves yet, but news signs are warning residents to be on the lookout.
We're probably one of the lowest places in Canada for vehicle thefts. However, that doesn't mean to say that this technology is not going to work well for us. So what we want is we want to put up these signs in this type of area to let people know and to create awareness on the fact that vehicles are being stolen. We cannot be complacent with our belongings in the cars, and we cannot be complacent with our keys left in the vehicles.
Coming soon to a computer near you, the Court of Appeal of Newfoundland and Labrador. It will be a first for this province. On October 13th, the court will webcast the hearing for a man appealing his sentence. Here now's Glenn Payette reports.
Chief Justice Derek Green is the top judge in the highest court in this province, the Court of Appeal, and he believes in an open court system. So in October, he's taking his court online for a webcast.
Our purpose is to improve access to the court system by people and also understanding of the court system. If they see how the court actually operates, what the judges do, how the lawyers perform, and so forth, maybe there will be a better understanding as to what the court's role in society is.
But why now?
Times have changed. I think all of the judges now are seeing that it is important that we take advantage of technology to improve the manner in which people can observe the court processes.
The webcast will be of James Evan Fry's appeal of his 6-year conviction for armed robbery and break-and-enter, and will deal with some of the evidence at his trial.
We thought we'd pick a fairly straightforward case that has, I think, easily understood issues.
And it's a case with public interest. Fry was one of 2 men convicted for breaking into an 85-year-old woman's house in Bay Roberts 2 years ago. They tried to get her to take money from an ATM. Another reason Green wants to do a webcast has to do with just how few spectators can be seated at the Court of Appeal.
We only have 1 row of chairs in the back where people, members of the public, can sit and observe. So this is a way of getting the information about what the court does out to a larger number of people.
This first webcast could lead to others. The appeal will be heard October 13th at 10 o'clock in the morning. And if you can't be here in one of these seats to see it, but want to tune in, Google Court of Appeal NL, and there will be a link that will take you to the webcast. Glenn Payette, CBC News, St. John's.
And just one other note about Glenn's story. Late this afternoon, we were told there has been a slight change for the site of that webcast link. You can find it directly on the homepage of the Supreme Court of Newfoundland and Labrador. Well, a former fire hall in the east end of Duckworth Street in St. John's is one step closer to getting a new lease on life. The hall's been vacant for years, but a local company wants to transform the old building into a brew pub. The owners hope to open the business next summer and say it'll be a family-friendly location that will double as a cafe and community space.
So it'll be a coffee shop during the day and a brew pub at night, offering 15 different types of draft beer, from light lagers to IPAs and stouts. But it's, of course, not a done deal yet. The proposal still has yet to get the okay from government and pass a public hearing. I think that building has been empty since I've been here.
Is that right?
I've been here 9 years.
9 years, yeah. And it's a prime location. You're right around the corner from a big hotel.
That's right.
A lot of foot traffic on Duckworth Street, and everybody seems to be in these new brews these days.
Absolutely.
So next summer, 2018, could see the whole thing open. Bet there's going to be lots of interest. Little boy, big heart. Up next, a story about paying it forward, big time.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. A former Wish kid, now cancer-free for nearly 5 years, says it's time to pay it forward. His idea, grant wishes for 5 other children going through what he did.
Yeah, and who's going to help with that project? Well, his dad, of course. Here Now's Garrett Berry brings us that story.
Cards, paintings, even some power tools. These are the things that have taken over Dion Orum's living room.
Daddy got to raise $50,000 for Children's Wish. There you go, and this is what all this stuff is for. I don't have enough yet for $50,000, but we'll certainly give her a good shake.
Why all this? It's how Paul Oram wants to celebrate. Almost 5 years cancer-free. He's in remission from Burkitt's lymphoma, and he wants to give back. That's a job for Dad.
Like any typical dad, I asked him what he wanted, and he didn't want nothing. Only to put 5 smiles on 5 kids' faces. I expect them to say a new bike, honestly. I mean, Daddy could afford a new bike, but I mean, $50,000? It's awful hard. But then again, his response when I told him that was a lot of money, Daddy, you done it before.
Dion's raised thousands already, but this is his biggest job yet. When the going gets tough, he thinks back to Paul's own Wish trip.
We're on a cruise ship now. I don't know, 700 feet long. We're up about 300 feet off the water. So the little thing turned around and done a dolphin call. And I didn't know he knew how to do a dolphin call for one, but for two, 4 dolphins come up by the side of the ship. Every time he do the dolphin call, up they come.
Yeah, they were both, all of them was this long. And they, at first, all 4 of them jumped up, and then there was a 5th one that jumped up.
That memory, it keeps Dion going.
Just every time, when I even gets close to, I had enough, or what's going to give me momentum and keep going, every time I just think of my son when he was on that balcony. And the expression on his face, I would do it over and over and over again for any other youngster.
Dion works shifts at Muskrat Falls. His other time, it's spent here, working on this auction. He says it's well worth it.
Wouldn't you jump at it? Be able to say that you granted that wish for your son? I'm all over that just like Sting. Come on with it. Yes, Daddy got to lose all his time and everything else, but what's time? Nothing.
This auction is taking place all online. You can search for it on Facebook. Just type in Team Paul Cancer Slayer online auction. Bidding begins this weekend and wraps up in October. Garrett Berry, CBC News, Glovertown.
Such a nice story, and that really is paying it forward.
Oh, for sure. So far, Dion and Paul Oram have raised $9,000 towards their $50,000 goal.
Yes, and they'll likely have other fundraisers over the next few months, and they hope to present a check to the Children's Wish Foundation around the May 24th long weekend.
I know, something tells me they're going to do it and pay it forward for 5 other young children in this province. And as Garrett pointed out, you can help them. Go to Facebook and search for Team Paul Cancer Slayer online auction.
Well, another cool one tonight, and frost advisory back in place for central parts of the island and the northern peninsula. And even those not under a frost advisory will be pretty chilly by the time we get to tomorrow morning. Your forecast details are after the break.
This weather update is brought to you by the Take Charge Business Efficiency Program. Over 400 businesses have saved energy and taken charge of their bottom line. Find out how you can too.
All right, and a fairly warm but windy day. Not going to last with these temperatures, though, right?
No, definitely not. Temperatures are already tumbling across the island, and that will continue into tonight as we look at our weather on the way headlines. It will be, as I mentioned before the break, a frosty start, but a sunny day for Wednesday. Rain is going to roll in for Thursday, and yeah, so cold in Labrador that rain is going to mix to snow through the day on Thursday. A live look right now at St. Anthony Airport, and you can see mainly cloudy skies. Temperatures just 7 degrees. The sun trying to peek through the clouds, but clouds have been pretty dominant across the northern peninsula, down that northeast coast. Temperatures have dropped in the last few minutes from 17 to 13 in St. John's, with that shift to the northerly wind, which is sustained at 40, and some gusts in that 60-kilometer-per-hour range, sustained near 54 in Bonavista. Vista, and that cooler air mass coming in with that northerly wind is on the other side of this low, which is quickly moving out. And so a little area of high pressure is going to be allowed to move into the region, and that'll have skies clearing through the overnight. And that's why we have those frost advisories setting up across central, the northern peninsula. Now, I think here in the east, as I mentioned, it's going to be a cool start, but frost won't be setting up because those winds are going to stay strong enough that we won't see any frost forming, though it will, again, as I mentioned, be a cool start. Wednesday afternoon, you can see where the clouds are certainly building in across the island from west to east, and some afternoon shower chances for Corner Brook and the southwest coast. And then it's into the evening and overnight that rain will then spread in across central. I think the Avalon will hold off until closer to midnight, but certainly some of those rains will be marching in here as well. There's that snow setting up across southern Labrador for Wednesday night through Thursday, as temperatures are going to be in the low single digits there. And as we roll into the Thursday night and Friday time period, watching the potential for some of that tropical moisture to come in, give us some steadier periods of rain at times, again, Thursday night into Friday, and that is tied to Maria, which we're still keeping an eye on. Not expected to be a huge impact, but may see some of that tropical moisture flirting up into this neck of the woods, and we're going to talk more about that coming up in your long-range forecast. Tonight, as I mentioned, low single digits for central parts of Newfoundland. The best chance of frost will be here where winds are light. Winds still in from the northwest around 20 to 40, so I think that'll keep the frost at bay across the Avalon. -1 to -3 for areas of southern Labrador. There's that frost advisory in case you missed it before the break. And as we take a look at St. John's again, I think we're going to start near 6 degrees. We'll get up to around 12 degrees tomorrow afternoon. Winds will become light, so a bit of a sea breeze setting up, 5 to 15 kilometer-per-hour wind, so pretty light into the afternoon. And we are talking about 12 to 13 for a good portion of the island, a little bit cooler, twirling it up towards the northern peninsula. Certainly some building clouds, but I think we're staying dry for the most part tomorrow in the Humber Valley. There are those showers along the west coast, and in Labrador it's a sun and cloud mix, but watch for some afternoon showers starting to sneak into Labrador City. And again, snow in the forecast for Thursday. We'll talk about that and your weekend coming up. Carolyn?
He hears the most personal details of people's lives. This psychologist says sometimes they think there's no hope. Up next, counseling people with PTSD.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Earlier in the program, we heard from two people being treated for PTSD. The experiences of Kelsey Aboud and Dave O'Day are familiar ones to Kurt Hillier. He's a psychologist in St. John's who treats first responders dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. Hillier has counseled many first responders over 22 years. His clients come from a wide variety of backgrounds: police officers, firefighters, correctional officers, paramedics, and more. This display in Hillier's office is a message to new clients they're not alone. Kurt Hillier, thank you very much for inviting me here to talk about PTSD and the patients, the clients you see. I appreciate it. And the two people we just heard from, they both spoke about the impact of the stigma they felt when they realized that they needed help. You sit across from people right here. Is that a common feeling that they bring to you, especially first when they come?
Yes, it's a very common feeling. People feel stigmatized by others and they feel stigmatized by themselves. It's not unusual for a person to say to me, "Kurt, tell me I'm not going crazy," because they're experiencing symptoms that they don't understand and they can't explain to themselves. And often when they look around, they don't necessarily see the members of their peer group manifesting similar symptoms. So the stigma is heavy because people in general have a misconception about what it means to have a psychological injury or a mental illness. The stigma is often heavy for first responders because I think of it as a very macho world, and people are expected to show strength and resilience and not show any flagging of their spirit or their strength or their will to go on.
And some people bury this for a long time. What is the impact of letting this fester over time?
What I see is that when people have gone for years trying to carry this burden very much on their own, it often results in various kinds of dysfunctional behavior. Drinking, drugging, gambling, promiscuity, and workaholism. The latter of which is very much encouraged by employers.
There's been such a public focus on PTSD with the suicide death of Corporal Trevor O'Keefe. People are talking about it, but even though his circumstance and previous ones have put it in the public eye, the two people we heard about in Ariana's piece just felt that employers and even the work environment just didn't support them. We have a long way to go, don't we?
Well, we have a very long way to go. And often the work environment, including not only employers, but fellow workers, can lose faith in somebody who is diagnosed with a psychological injury or a mental illness. And one of the ways I think about it, Debbie, is that there's all kinds of physical illness, and there's hardly anybody in our society who would say, I have no physical illness of any kind and never have, which is foolishness, really, because we all have injuries and assaults to our mental health on an ongoing basis. And if we start to look at it in that way, we can see that somebody can be psychologically injured or mentally ill and still function in many ways very effectively. And that's the challenge we have sometimes, especially with employers, is that they're concerned if somebody is psychologically injured, well, then maybe they shouldn't be given full responsibilities. And in some cases, that's true, but in many cases, it's not.
In your experience, is PTSD triggered by a single event, or can it develop over time, exposure to different circumstances?
Yes, it's often the result of a single traumatic event in terms of the general public. But in terms of first responders and military personnel, most people who are operational in those professions for any more than a few years have likely had repeated traumatic events.
Does somebody ever get over PTSD or just learn to live with it?
This is a condition that has legs. It lasts for some people for 10 years, 20 years, or for a lifetime. Fortunately, many people are helped through treatment and support to get to a point whereby they may no longer meet full diagnostic criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder. But it's highly unlikely that somebody is going to get to a point where they exhibit no symptoms at all, but they don't necessarily warrant a categorization of being disordered.
We've been talking about the clientele that you have, first responders, paramedics, and the police forces and so on. But for those who do not have the support of those organizations, and they know there's something wrong, what should they look for within themselves?
Look at things like, is your sleep peaceful? Are you having nightmares about something that's happened to you? Or do you have intrusive thoughts about something bad that happened to you during the day? Do you find that you don't want to be around people very much? You've become avoidant of folks. You're withdrawn. Are you predominantly negative in how you feel? Or perhaps you don't feel anything at all. You've become numb. Ask yourself what your outlook is. Because often people affected by trauma develop a very negative outlook about the future, about themselves, and about the world. Fortunately, that's becoming rarer because the word is getting out. And this is what we need. We need more exposure. We need to normalize this as part of our normal human condition and, try to accept and respect each other, especially while people are convalescent and recovering.
Kurt Hillier, thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Debbie.
It's not too late. You can still vote at this box here in St. John's, and you can also vote at polling stations around the city until 8 o'clock. I'm Mark Quinn. I'll have more coming up on Here and Now.
Okay, let's meet our young athlete of today. This is Tori Rice from CBS.
Tori is 6 years old and she recently completed her first year of jazz dance. She also plays soccer.
Great job, Tori. You're today's young athlete of the day. And on that note, we have to mention something about last night's athlete of the day.
Yes, we showed you the wrong picture last night when we talked about 15-year-old Josh Power, but here he is tonight, and we're sure this time.
Josh is from the Ghouls. He's a talented athlete who's been playing soccer since he was 4. He plays for the under-15 Fieldians, the under-15 Newfoundland team.
And Josh tells us that he has his sights set on playing professional soccer. Way to go, Josh. You're also today's young athlete of the day. Now, speaking of young up-and-comings.
Okay, you went to school today?
I did. I went back to school.
I didn't know about this, and I should know all of this. Okay, tell us about the school trip. We always love going to school.
Yeah, absolutely. So grade 5s, of course, grade 5s are doing their weather unit, and so I try to get out to as many grade 5 classes as I can. Today I was at Mary Queen of Peace School. Let's let them set up today's headlines.
Don't forget the sunglasses. High pressure brings sunshine, which leads to most of us sunny weather on Wednesday. Low pressure brings rain on Thursday. In Labrador, rain mixes to snow. Details are here now on CBC.
5 different classes, and so it was a jam-packed house, but lots of great questions, and I was there for an hour, and of course just talking with them, always great, and makes you feel young again.
Yeah. They look so excited.
So my thanks to Mary Queen of Peace School for inviting me in, and again, a lot of great weather questions. We actually didn't talk about hurricanes today. We talked about tornadoes, but we didn't talk about hurricanes or tropical storms, and that is what Maria is now. Just downgraded to a tropical storm. We have sustained winds of 110 kilometers per hour and gusts up to 140. So what's Maria going to do? Well, Maria is slowly but surely going to wander to the north here and then make a hard turn to the right as we roll through the day on Thursday. The actual track of the storm is expected to be well to the southeast of the island, clipping the southern Grand Banks this weekend. That won't be where Maria has a potential to influence our weather. It'll be ahead of that as Maria and some of its moisture possibly funnel up into this system, which is going to be moving in over the next couple of days. So here's how it plays out with the weather setup. This first low that's been moving through today clears out nicely, area of high pressure, although quick mover, it does move through, bringing us some sunny weather to start the day on Wednesday. Increasing clouds, rain by Wednesday afternoon for the west coast of the island, down towards the south coast as well. It's a pretty nice day in Labrador. They'll watch for some afternoon shower chances moving in for you folks in the west. Now that rain will continue to spread in across the island as we roll into the Thursday time period. Note the rain mixes with snow. Labrador City, Churchill Falls, Happy Valley, Goose Bay, even up towards Makovic, Rigolette, and down into the higher elevations of the southeast. Everyone looking at the possibility of at least seeing some snow mixing in on Thursday. This is where things are a little interesting for Thursday night in through Friday. You can see some of those brighter yellows, oranges, and reds. That is the forecast model picking up with the potential for some heavier rain starting to push in over the Avalon, the Burin, the southeast parts of the island. So certainly that possibility in the mix as early as Thursday afternoon. Temperatures you can see very mild on Thursday, 17, 18, 19 degrees on the island. 3, 4, 5 degrees, single digits with that snow mixing in across Labrador. So watch Thursday evening into the overnight. Again, this front stretches all the way down and is holding hands with Maria, and so this is where we could get into some of that tropical moisture for a time, Thursday night in through Friday. I'm not overly concerned about it, but something I'm certainly keeping an eye on, that we could see, again, some of those rains at times heavy, but it looks like it's only, that window is really only from Thursday afternoon into about Friday morning, and then that rain in that front will start to clear off and shower chances lingering into the remainder of Friday. And Friday does look like a cool one across southern parts of Labrador as well, 3, 4, 5 degrees. There's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, which clearing out nicely, but that's certainly a fall-like forecast. But those temperatures, again, single-digit possibilities for St. John's, Central, and the West on Saturday. Labrador, again, a little on the cool side, especially over the next 5 days, with snow possibilities in the west through the weekend.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, as we've been saying, it is voting day for municipalities across Newfoundland and Labrador.
And the capital city is having challenges with its mail-in ballot system this year. Our Mark Quinn is live from City Hall once again. So how are things unfolding, Mark?
Well, it looks like the developing story here at City Hall is that they may surpass the turnout they had in the last election in 2013. We were just down at Knights of Columbus, of course, reporting earlier in the show, and we saw that there was a steady stream of people coming and going from there. There have been people coming to this box here tonight and drop off their ballots, and we also spoke with election officials inside, and they told us that we've passed that 50% point. We actually have now at least 50% of people who are eligible to vote in St. John's have voted in this election. In the last election, it was somewhere around 52 or 53%, so it looks like we're on track to maybe catch up, and some of those officials say they expect we'll actually surpass that 53% turnout that we got last election. So that's good news for people who care about people participating in elections. It looks like a lot of people in St. John's, maybe more than last time, participated this time. So you can still come in here and vote till 8 o'clock here at the City Hall and also at the polling stations. And later tonight, I'll be at Andy Wells' headquarters, and Jeremy Eaton, my colleague, will be with Danny Breen, and we'll bring all the latest, we'll tweet out the latest results from those, and you can go to cbc.ca/NL to get more results as they come in. Live in St. John's, I'm Mark Quinn for Here and Now.
Our viewer picture of the day, where is this one taken? It's in the Big Land, and it's Grand Lake Road. What community is that close to? We'll let you know after the break. All right, before the break, we asked you where our viewer picture of the day was taken, and it was taken just outside of Happy Valley Goose Bay on Grand Lake Road, and a beautiful scene. You can see, though, fall is settling in.
Yeah, those leaves are turning. And didn't you say something about snow somewhere in Labrador earlier in the program?
Yeah, Labrador City, Churchill Falls, Happy Valley Goose Bay. This road will likely be at least a little bit snow-covered for Thursday into Thursday night, so 'tis the season.
It is.
Here we go again.
Thanks to Bonita for that, and keep all those pictures coming in. And what did you say, Rod?
He said, make sure you tell people to get out and vote.
Okay.
And that's a good point, Rod Dobbin.
Got an hour left.
Yeah, that's right.
See you all tomorrow, everyone.
Good night.